You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, brought to you by the Oat Company of St. John's, Newfoundland. And now, here's two guys who work security at the recent St. Stephen High School Senior Prom, Evan and Joe.
I'm Joe Ticotsky down in New Haven, Connecticut.
I'm Evan McFarlane here in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, Canada.
And you're watching episode 84 of Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, sponsored by the Oat Company of St. John's, Newfoundland.
Love it.
Now that we do have a sponsor, we're thinking of some good advertising slogans to tie in with the company. But until that point, we thought we'd dig up some rejected advertising slogans for the company. So our crack research team spent some time recently in the St. John's, Newfoundland Public Library, and here's a few that they found. The Oat Company, we're winning, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup playoffs every year. That was rejected. That was rejected. You have a happy look on your face there.
Yeah, I have no idea why they wouldn't want that.
Okay, next rejected one was the Oat Company. Our wild blueberry bar pairs perfectly with a 12-ounce bottle of Black Horse beer. Have you ever heard of Black Horse?
Yeah, if that doesn't make it, I don't even know what they're going for anymore.
Okay, it's a Newfoundland beer. Is that sold in New Brunswick?
Yeah, you can get it. We actually have it on tap at the golf course.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. Next one, the Oat Company. We'll put our peanut butter cup bar up against that damn Canadian Will Arnett and his Reese's bars any day of the week. But they rejected that one. And
they are pretty good.
Yeah, and we have one last rejected advertising theme. The Oat Company. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, oops, I guess some of that was already taken by the Arches.
Absolutely.
Right. So for today, what kind of Oat Company bar are you going to try?
So, yeah, I had plans. I had them all laid out. And if you know me well enough, Joe, you know that food doesn't last in my house. So on air, didn't quite make it, but I've eaten 8 in the last 24 hours.
Jeez. All right, I'm going to try our second on air. I'm going to go for the Snowball.
Okay.
Which is actually the name of my microphone. There's also a Snowball. Oh, man. You know, if it's too good, I probably shouldn't be eating it, but.
Am I going to hear the alert on your watch go off?
That is some good stuff, but all right, the Oat Company.
Awesome. Appreciate them.
Newfoundland. After the break, we'll have our yearly update on the world's oldest basketball court as we chat with Tom Liston, although Evan was on assignment searching for his tee shot on the 14th hole at the Algonquin. What's the toughest hole there for you?
For me, 11, for sure. Hands down, every time. That's a round ruiner for me.
Good stuff, man. You're watching episode 84 of Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, brought to you by the Oat Company. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV. If you drive about 30 kilometers from the CHCO studios back towards the U.S. border, you'll find an unassuming building on King Street in St. Stephen. Since 1858, it's been a pharmacy, a dance hall, a print shop, and a thrift store. A fire in 2010 forced the owners to rip up the storage room carpet on the second floor, and lo and behold, the wooden floor revealed a basketball court from when the building was a YMCA. Further research showed that it's currently the world's oldest basketball court, and the move was on to turn it into a basketball experience center. So to tell us more and to update us on the progress of the building, let's welcome in Tom Liston, the chair of fundraising for the Basketball Experience Center, home of the world's oldest basketball court. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
All right. Now, since we last interviewed you, there's been a lot of media coverage of the project. Give us a quick update on that.
Sure, we ended up holding a kind of Toronto VIP event to raise awareness and hopefully to finalize our tranche for the private fundraising piece in Toronto. And thankfully, the premier responded and said, "Hey, she'll come up to support that and help our cause." And on our weekly address, she mentioned that she was coming to Toronto to support the world's oldest basketball court folks and Canada Press was in the room. Hina Lam was in the room and said, "Hey, how do I get a hold of Tom? I didn't know about this world's oldest court. And given what's going on in Canada-U.S. relations, and there's a bit of a renewed elbows up Canadian pride type of situation, she figured that might be a interesting story, and our editors thought it would be an interesting story. So the good news is we had a fantastic interview with Canada Press, and the great thing about Canada Press, it goes to almost every newspaper in Canada, whether it's Globe Mail or Toronto Star or Windsor Express or Victoria, Vancouver, Winnipeg Free Press, right through the country. So we had a lot of visibility on that, and using those type of articles on this kind of renewed Canadian pride situation. The offshoots were a bunch of interviews that came out of that with CTV Atlantic, and then CTV National, and all the rest of it. So we've got some very good exposure again lately across Canada, which is important to us. And even some of the coaches from the Raptors I was talking to had picked up on the recent news. So it was great to see such great visibility coast to coast.
Yeah. Now, there's also been a lot of progress on the project in general. Give an update on that, like where you stand in terms of how much you've raised and how much more still needs to be raised.
Yeah, so overall, we're raising $18 million. That's the total cost of the project. And then there's a bunch of contingencies within those numbers, and we've been validated a few different times by engineering firms that's a solid number with some room to move. But on what we're trying to do is get $6 million from private and corporate donations, $6 million from the provincial government, and $6 million from the federal government. So we sort of soft launched what we call phase 2 of the campaign, primarily focused on individual and corporate donors, because we figure if we get that, it'll be that much easier for the province and federal government to endorse it, given that we did the hard work on the private side first. And we soft launched that campaign in November, and thankfully within a few weeks we got $1 million donation from one individual within New Brunswick, and we got another couple $100,000 from a few different foundations in December and January as well. So with that, we got to 2.6 million of our 6 million raised. So we're already almost halfway there within a few months. And that's when we decided to launch that Toronto VIP event to see if we could get the second half of that fairly quickly in order to secure and take that to the provincial and federal government and say, hey, we secured the main part here, the tough part. Can you come on board and make sure this project gets to see the light of day?
Yeah. Now, in terms of the actual basketball, which is front and center what it's about, will there be a regulation court in this center? And if so, who do you see playing there?
Yeah, so we won't have room quite for regulation court. We will have some areas where, including on the world's oldest court, where you can shoot into a peach basket. So there'll be some interactive activities, but there won't be room for a full court. We are working hard on two things. As you know, we have a 3-on-3 tournament now each year with the Archie. We're trying to refurbish some outdoor courts in St. Stephen to make them really, just pretty them up and make sure they're super flat and safe and have not just for our event, but more use year round, because some of the nets are always leaning a little bit, and you can imagine over time there's wear and tear.
Right.
So we want to have it for our own event, for our own 3-on-3, but have it so that the community can continue to use it, these higher end outdoor courts. And the other thing we've been working on is twofold, is thinking about how to put a floor in the Garcelon Center. The Garcelon Center is just across the street from the world's oldest court, which is super convenient. And I think that holds somewhere around 1,200 plus for hockey, and you could probably fit another few hundred for basketball. So I'd love to get a floor in there. So if we can try to host either Raptors training camp or a Toronto Tempo WNBA event, we have been talking high level. It's always hard to get them there, but both those organizations trying to get them to New Brunswick and don't not only see the court, but have some type of event locally. And frankly, ongoing, we'd love to see a permanent, like 2 indoor courts. We can use the high schools, of course, but we'd like to have big tournaments forever. Have it kind of like a Springfield or what have you, or Cooperstown, where you attract tournaments to that area. So we'd love to have a facility where there's a couple courts in addition to the high school that people can use year round.
How about an outdoor court in St. Andrews? We're bursting at the seams with our camp. We need an
You know
outdoor
what? That'd be beautiful on the ocean. There's got to be a spot. We should do that, actually. Why not, right?
no air balls in the
No, air balls in the ocean. Yeah,
body
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So the question that everyone has asked me when I tell them about it, when do you think this building will actually open? Are we talking 5 years from now?
Yeah, so if you ask me or the non-engineers, I'd probably say 3 or 4, but the engineers keep telling us it takes longer. No, it's probably 4-ish years. We'd like to finish fundraising this current calendar year, hopefully by September. And then what we can do in parallel, though, is Cambridge 7 out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, is already working with a couple of New Brunswick architects. So we're looking to take the drawings, the renderings that you've seen and everybody have seen, take those to the next level where there's actually extreme detail, so they can have a set of architecture plans that engineers can start to map and get to work on. So we're going to try to, and that process takes at least 9 months to a year, I believe, of having every detail, every stone, piece of stone and pillar and everything like laid out. So we're going to start that very soon. So once we complete the fundraising, we almost be shovel ready, just as we're completing the fundraising as well. So we're doing that in real time. So that hopefully it'll accelerate the plans a little bit, but it's still probably about 4-ish years away, plus or minus, to completion.
Good. All right, before we let you get out of here, just quickly give us the dates of the Archie, which is the golf tournaments, the fundraiser, and their other events this year. So that way everyone will be able to pop in if they would like to, because this will be airing in late June. So what are the dates for that?
August 7th and 9th, and we continue to expand our programming with that. So the Thursday night will be a VIP event with our celebrities and main sponsors. Friday morning will be golf. They can have a little break if they want afterwards. And then we'll have the Maritime Kitchen Party now in the Char and Chowder in right on Water Street. Yeah, the VIP event will be at Five Kings in St. Stephen, so they can be at the court and then come over to Five Kings. And then, so Friday night we'll have a kitchen, and you can buy separate this year. You can buy separate golf from dinner. So if you can't make both, you can choose one or the other. So made it a little easier for people, more accessible for people to come. We plan on increasing the golf foursomes by about 50%, and the Char and Chowder will be a great venue for the Friday night. And then Saturday morning, as you know, will be our clinic with all their celebrities, and then we'll have a bigger 3-on-3 tournament as well. We hope to almost double the capacity of the 3-on-3 in the clinic on Saturday morning. So we're pretty excited about this year's Archie.
Yeah, it's growing every year. Well, he is Tom Liston, and he's the chair of fundraising for the Basketball Experience Center, home of the world's oldest basketball court in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. For more information and to donate to the building, you can go to worldsoldestbasketballcourt.com. Tom, once again, we got to give you like a jacket, like on Saturday Night Live when you host 5 times, or so I think it's probably your 4th time on the show.
As long as I get ahead of Brad Henderson, that's all I really care about. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll see you in August.
All right. Thanks a lot, Joe. Appreciate it.
Well, after the break, we'll talk all things PEI on Small Town Spotlight. You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews, and we are brought to you by the Oat Company. This is the Snowball Bar from St. John's, Newfoundland. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report, brought to you by the Oat Company from St. John's, Newfoundland. For this edition of Small Town Spotlight, we will try to cover an entire province, Prince Edward Island, in less than 10 minutes. Known to everyone by the letters PEI, it's Canada's smallest province by land and population. But that population of almost 180,000 does make it the country's most densely populated. To get there from New Brunswick, you'll need to drive over the 8-mile Confederation Bridge, the world's longest bridge over ice-covered water. and not much fun to drive over on a windy day in a small Mazda. Trust me on that one. With its gorgeous beaches, scenic backgrounds, an amazing music scene, and those famous PEI mussels, you can see why tourism is such a big part of the province's economy. And to tell us more about Prince Edward Island, let's welcome in certified professional tour guide, Charlie DesRoches. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Great to be here.
All right, you're officially a certified professional tour guide. Tell our audience exactly what that is and what you had to do to get that title.
Well, it's going back about 9 years ago. You have to take a course, an official course, and you are trained. And actually, it's kind of the liability and how to be a tour guide. And you do have to do practices on a bus and make presentations in class. And then you're reviewed, and companies will hire you, but they only want certified tour guides because you've gone through the course, and then also you've gone through some actual experiential training. It's a lot of fun, and the ones you go through with are always your friends because they started off at the same time, and we have the same issues. So at the pier when we're welcoming visitors, it's often like, "How was your trip yesterday? And what happened? Was there anything different?" Kind of thing. So there's always something exciting that happens when there are visitors.
So a lot of them are bus tours with people from all over?
Mostly off the cruise ships. Now it's changing a bit this year. Now I've been doing it for a while, so I do conventions, I do individual tours. I just got 4 ladies from the States want me to take a special tour with them. I've got 4 other groups this year, French from Quebec and one from Pennsylvania. So it's mostly off the ships, but remember, it's down from 95 ships last year to 75 this year. So it's going to be a little different for tour guiding.
Okay. Now, when I was chatting with you off camera, you used the phrase sustainable tourism, and that's something we do hear a lot about these days. What is sustainable tourism?
Well, I had the real opportunity last year, so interested in tourism, and my family was involved in tourism way back as well. So I grew up with it. We had cottages and an inn type thing. And it's changed a lot. We've become a little commercialized, and sometimes one may say a little too commercialized.
Okay.
So you don't want to just see the city. You want to understand the country. You want to understand the locals, and you want to be able to share in their experience rather than us creating an experience for you that's different. You want to be part of our experience of loving the islands and caring for the islands, and also experiencing things you would not normally see on a brochure. You want to be taken to places like you want to go to Kaylee's, but you want to go to the Kaylee's that are really down to earth and the ones that are the really good singers, local storytellers. Some are specifically for tourists, and they're good too, but they have a little extra that it's not just island, it's more commercial. So we're trying to be more real and genuine in presenting the island, but it's a shared experience. We want you to join in with us and not be just entertained by us.
Okay. Yeah, and I understand that's like when a lot of people go to New York City and they go right to Times Square.
Right, exactly.
There's so much more to it than that. And even when I show people around Connecticut, same way, show them places they wouldn't have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So now connected with that, say I'm in PEI for maybe 2 or 3 days, so it's not a long vacation. Give us a couple places that you recommend they visit, and feel free to throw in a hidden gem where someone would say, I never would have thought of that.
Well, if you're coming from Nova Scotia, and I advise that because there's a boat. It's the old romantic boat. So we really are going to an island. So Pictou, Caribou, Nova Scotia, you take the boat across, and it's a nice experience on the boat. People are very friendly. The food is really good. They have some good chefs and cooks on the. It's not a long trip. It's an hour and a quarter, and you're allowed to have your dog now. You can take your dog out on deck, so you meet a lot of nice people that way too. And as soon as you arrive, you're in Wood Islands. Now, Wood Islands has a 150-year-old lighthouse, which they're renovating this year. Unbelievable location. And you can experience that. And then they have a visitor center. You can attend that as well. So one of my favorite spots close by is Northumberland Park. Take a picnic. Go along the beach. If you have a dog, let the dog run along the beach. Now, we have a lot of visitors here and many people who come here and stayed. So in Kings County, and I'm going to kind of stay in Kings County because I could tell you so many places on the island that you could spend time with. So we have 5 Buddhist monasteries, and you're welcomed into some of those. It's just amazing experience. So the island and visitors coming together type thing. You're looking at some amazing food, like the Wheelhouse in Georgetown is a gourmet restaurant, and you're right on the water. So you travel in the same area. Murray Harbor has it's the old Verhoe's Harbor View restaurant. So there's so many little quaint places where you can have a good meal and sit outside and look at the water. It's just beautiful, right?
Now, how far would you say, just for people to get the sense of direction, how far is that area from Charlottetown drive?
45 minutes maximum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you come up to Montague, and Montague has there's 2 really good breweries here, and they're amazing places, just absolutely amazing. On the way, if you or sometime, we have a lot of grocery stores that are still country stores, and they still have that attitude, right? So you're not known as a visitor. You're known when you come in there as a friend. They'll say, hi, how are you? Because you could be staying close by, or you could have moved down there. A lot of people have moved to the southeastern Kings area of Prince Edward Island. You could be new. So you're just treated like anybody else. So it's and you get to know the locals, right? And you get to know the owners, and the owners were there like 35 years, and they just sold it to a younger couple. So my favorite places are going to the not little anymore, they're pretty big, the country grocery stores, and watch the characters, and then get the stories from the people who own the store and the workers, and they'll tell you stories like you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe the people there. Just something else, right?
And then in addition to that, there is all that Charlottetown has to offer with its bigger city type.
Oh, for sure. So what I'll be doing today for my dental appointment, I'll be going to Charlottetown, and that has everything you want. It's actually 75,000 people with the environs, with it's growing so large now. So when I grew up in Charlottetown, it was 35,000 people. And the island is 175,000. And Charlottetown has everything to offer that you'd want anywhere. I mean, I'll put it up against New York. I'll put it up against Hartford. We have the Culinary Institute of Canada here. You can go to any ethnic group you want, except if you know a really good Spanish restaurant, we wouldn't mind having a Spanish or a Greek restaurant, particularly a Greek restaurant. We need a good Greek restaurant here. We got everything else. We got absolutely everything else. So I took a course, 3-month course with the culinary, and I really got in tune with doing this. And I also did, and I still do, walking culinary tours of Charlottetown, and also now I'm going to be doing Montague. So I'll take 4 restaurants. We'll take 3.5 hours, and we go, and we'll have a good local beer, some clams and some oysters, some lobster. Just show people how we enjoy ourselves and welcome you into that enjoyment. So Charlottetown's amazing. So you could go out every night of the week with a different ethnic group.
Nice. I know I had some awesome Malapeak Bay oysters right in Mount. They basically caught them from where you were looking out the window.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. And you know what? We have so many East Indian restaurants. I couldn't tell you which one to go to because they're all great.
All right. Well, I am going to put you on the spot because lastly, as we always ask our guests on Small Town Spotlight, give me a favorite non-chain restaurant in PEI.
Clam Diggers. I was there yesterday. Unbelievable. You always have the best of service, and the food is fantastic. And 2 of my friends who came with me yesterday hadn't been there in a long time. They said, wow, we can't wait to come back here. So I mean, of course I had fish.
And where's that located?
That's in Cardigan, Prince Edward Island, which is just down the road from Montague, about 10 minutes. So the whole area, Charlottetown and East, there's so much stuff going on. I mean, you want to go to Cavendish too, Anne of Green Gables, Lucy Maud Montgomery, which is very important, but it's happening everywhere. And it's amazing.
I'll have to wear my cardigan while I'm in Cardigan.
That's right. And you'll be recognized for that. You get a discount.
Well, he is Charlie DesRoches, proud graduate of Charlottetown's Colonel Gray High School, who's a certified professional tour guide on Prince Edward Island, also a master storyteller, and someone who I call Mr. PEI. To find out more about PEI, you can go to tourismpei.com, or you can email Charlie directly at the number one Canadian PEI at gmail.com, and those will be popped up on the screen for you to take a look at. Charlie, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Joe. Can't wait to see you up here again.
And we're back. Great job by both Charlie and Tom in their interviews, but now it's time for the shout outs. I was all set to give a shout out to Evan's Maple Leafs, but Lucy pulled the puck away from them once again.
Man, you're on one today. Eh?
Well, you can get back at me for the Knicks anytime you want to.
I'll work on it.
But we'll still go with a hockey shout out, Evan.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to friend of the show and longtime friend of mine, Gardner McDougall and the Moncton Wildcats, the Quebec Major Junior League, who, since the viewers might not actually know about them, they had one heck of a season in the queue this year. His first year as a head coach after leaving UNB, they go 53-9-2 in the regular season.
Wow.
And then they go 16-3 in the playoffs. They had a goaltender who won 24 games in a row, and they captured the league title in the Gilles Courteau Trophy. And Gardner was just recently also given the Coach of the Year award. So they made it to the Memorial Cup. They lost in the semifinals to the eventual champs. And I think that's a heck of a start for a guy in another coaching chapter of his life.
Yeah. Didn't he just come off an undefeated college season the year before?
2 years, yeah.
2 years. That's insane. Do you know who Gilles Courteau is?
I do not. I probably should.
I do not either. I think we should rename that the Evan.
Maybe we'll have the answer for that next time.
Yeah. That was impressive. And also, yeah, I actually watched some of his games online, and just an amazing run. Also hockey related, Gabe Smith of St. Andrews just signed, who played for Moncton, just signed a 3-year entry-level contract with the Utah Mammoth of the NHL.
Yeah, Gabe just returned home recently after Moncton's season came to an end, and after all the publicity that CHCO has given him, he is now a local superstar. I'm sure he can't even go to the grocery store without getting stopped.
He is. He was in the fourth grade when I used to do those weekly basketball clinics at the elementary school up there.
And if you know him, he was probably taller than you then too.
He was. He towered. He posted me up, but that's awesome. Well, I'd like to give a shout out to my sister, Susan, who retired this month. That's why I'm wearing the Bowie t-shirt. She's a huge Bowie fan. Even though she's younger than me, she already retired. She was with the town of Hamden for 31 years, most recently the head of youth services. And for anyone that knows her, she did an amazing job growing many of the programs the town runs, especially those which helped people in need. So we're proud of her. So to my sister, Susan Rubino, enjoy your well-deserved retirement and get your retired behind up to St. Andrews one of these days.
Absolutely. Congrats, Susan. Well done.
That's it. All right. Well, we are out of time. So that's it for episode 84 of Mc&T Sports Report. I am Joe in New Haven.
I'm Evan in St. Andrews.
Thanks to Patrick Watt and Florence Mitchell for allowing us to cheat off of them on our recent final exams.
Yeah, wouldn't have made it without them.
And thanks to the Oat Company from St. John's, Newfoundland for sponsoring our show. This is Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews. Enjoy the start of your summer.